Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I am great.
Hello, everybody.
Mm.
Okay. So this is the Turpin family, and I called it their house. It should be houses of horrors.
I think that's what it says on
It
your.
might be.
It is.
Um, this was one of their, I believe, a Texas house, if I remember right. All right, so David Allen Turpin was formerly a computer engineer who graduated from Virginia Tech and had worked for Lockheed Martin and Northrop Grumman. He met his wife, Louise Ann, at Princeton High School in Princeton, West Virginia. The couple married in Pearisburg, Virginia in 1985 when David was 23 and Louise was 16. The Turpins originally identified as Pentecostal Christians, and as part of their beliefs, the couple had numerous children because God called on them to do so. They produced 10 daughters and 3 sons between 1988 and 2015. The couple later left the church and experimented with other lifestyles, including witchcraft and swinging. Hold on. Sorry, hubby stepped in. All right, let's see. And I don't think I put anything in here. But if I remember right, when I was doing my research, I believe they actually eloped when they got married, and that caused a rift between the families.
Gotcha.
In the very early morning hours of January 14th, 2018, a home security camera in Perris, California, captures what looks like a young child fleeing from what seems to be a typical suburban house. The child runs shakily down the driveway before picking up speed once hitting the sidewalk and disappearing from view. This is 17-year-old Jordan Turpin, and though she's been planning for this moment for almost 2 years, she still has no idea what she's about to do will change the course of her family's lives forever. Interestingly, another person, this one looking to be older, also emerges from the house and moves quickly down the street off camera, though in the complete opposite direction, only to return a few minutes later and re-enter the house. At the same time, Jordan makes it to a corner down the block where she stops beneath a stop sign and, with hands shaking violently, dials 911.
I just ran away from home. Okay, do you know where you are? I'm actually in California, Florida. Do you know what city you're in? No. Do you see any signs or anything? Like any street signs? No, I don't.
The operator speaks with her for a minute before realizing this is a matter for the sheriff's department and asks Jordan to hold on 1 second while she transfers her. Jordan agrees and stands, panting in the darkness, full of adrenaline and fear that at any moment her parents will appear out of the shadows.
She's not sure where she's at. She said that she's in Paris and she ran away from home. Okay. Hello? Hello? Oh, yes, I'm still here. What's your name? Jordan Turpin.
The operator asks her to spell her last name, and Jordan tries, although she misspells it both times the operator asks.
Turtn. Do you need my address?
Yeah, what's your address?
Okay, you got 15 minutes. It's going to take a while.
Here, Jordan pauses, taking a couple of deep breaths before doing her best to provide an answer.
I live in, okay, this is my address, 9257, okay? Did you get that?
Case? Is it C-A-S-E?
Okay, sorry, I'm going to start over. My address is 92570 5574. Did you get it? now you just gave me a whole bunch of numbers. You didn't give me any kind of street name there. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so you're just around the corner from your house. Is that right? Yeah, I think. I'm not sure. I've never been out. I don't go out much, so I don't know anything about the streets or anything.
It's later revealed that Jordan has never been to school or received any kind of formal education whatsoever, so the fact she's able to offer anything at all is actually rather impressive. The operator asks Jordan a couple more questions about her location before getting to the heart of the matter.
Why did you leave your house? What? Why did you leave your house? My two little sisters right now are chained up. Where are they chained up at? On the bed. And there are 15 kids? There's 13 kids. And then a mother and father. Are you in a corner right now? I might be. Are you at, is there a street sign? Is there a pole with two names at the top? I just see a stop sign. Okay, can you go over and stand right at that stop sign? Yes.
Shortly thereafter, Deputy Anthony Kalachi, at the end of a long graveyard shift, pulls up to the curb, getting out to greet the small, disheveled figure standing alone in the darkness.
I just ran away from home.
Okay.
And I live in a family of 15.
Okay.
Thank you so much. There's a mother, father, and then there's 13 kids.
Uh-huh.
And
How old are the kids?
okay, some of them are like, okay, my older sister's 29, the youngest is 2.
And they all live in the house?
Yes.
Even your 29-year-old sister?
Yes. Oh, yeah, they're kind of scared to ask to move out because of their mother. Some of them have asked for a job before, and she acts like that's crazy and it would never happen. But my 2 little sisters right now,
How old are they?
11 and 14. They're chained up because they stole mother's food.
Uh-huh.
But okay, yeah. And do you want to know why they stole mother's food?
Why?
Okay. All we ever eat for like probably like 2 straight years or 3 or more. But we always eat some things. But sometimes we do eat. I'm sorry if I talk too much. Okay. I've never talked to anybody out there, so I've never been a wrong person, so this is very hard for me to talk.
Despite Jordan's marked level of trepidation, she continues to divulge as much information as possible. Though she clearly struggles to put it all into words, she picks up where she left off with the dispatcher during her 911 call in regards to Turpin family life and how little the children were fed.
I don't know much about my mother. She doesn't like us. She doesn't spend time with us ever.
Who takes care of you?
I take care of myself, and mother does buy food for us, so she feeds us.
Okay. All we ever eat is food sandwiches. Sometimes they tell mother that they're hungry, but she has gifts in it. And then when they throw up, she says, "You're supposed to tell me if you're hungry. I'll feed you son." And then they try to tell her, she just like, "Okay, go on." So.
You've never been outside before?
Okay, I've been outside.
Do you go to school?
No, I haven't finished first grade.
Jordan, having been sheltered from the outside world, is painfully apparent when she concedes that she isn't familiar with the most basic of health-related terminology.
Does anybody at the house take any kind of medication?
I don't know what medication is.
Any medicines?
We have.
Do they ever go outside?
Okay. Mother treats them right. They're like, they go out every day when she goes out, but she takes turns sometimes. It's 2 right now. But there's 1 who's crying, and mother her head's pencil. And she just turned 1. And we was like noticing stuff, like we was like getting each other because she started acting weird after that. And so
So you don't go to school?
right.
Do your parents, do they let you go outside?
I've never, we don't even go in the backyard. But the reason I called and the reason I managed to get out here, this is one of the scariest things I've ever done. I'm terrified. But I called because my 2 little sisters, they chained up right now. And they.
Do you have pictures of that?
I can show you. I actually didn't have it. And then one of my sisters told me I need to get pictures. So see, we need to look at that. See, those are the places that we can know that. And that's. And see how dirty she is. We're so filthy. We don't take baths.
Is there a cell phone number
No,
to this?
No.
Can I look at? Do you have any other
Okay,
photos?
You might be able to see it. Yes, those are just photos of me. I have pictures and videos, but they're on my camera, and I have to.
Have you lived in other states?
Yeah, Texas.
Did they act like this when you lived in Texas?
They actually acted different. They actually banned all their kids in a house, and they left us there for like 4 years, and then later they came back to pick us up. But they're living with us right now.
As the Texan neighbors of the family would later report, the family who'd moved to Texas in the late 90s kept entirely to themselves until a decade later, when they apparently fled in the middle of the night without a word of explanation. When neighbors went over to the mobile home to check on the dogs that had been abandoned there, they were shocked and horrified by what they saw. The dogs had apparently been found surviving off the used diapers left amid the other trash and feces left in the home, and the doors and refrigerator all bore padlocks and frayed ropes tied to the multiple bare bunk beds. It would later come out that this was where the Turpins had abandoned all but 2 of their children for at least 3 years, while they themselves lived in an apartment nearby, only coming by once a week to drop off a small amount of food.
Sometimes we listen still, and sometimes I wake up and I can't breathe because how dirty the house is. We never take baths. I don't know if we need to go to the doctor, but sometimes we think stuff might be wrong with us, and we tell Mother, and she just said, "Go on."
When was the last time you had a bath?
I don't know, almost a year ago.
What if I went to your parents' house right now? What would they tell me?
I'm terrified. If you went to my parents' house, they can see me.
You okay over there, Dago?
This is insane. Absolutely insane. A year?
A year.
Hasn't had a bath in over a year. If you can't handle you have 13 or however many kids these people have, stop having them if you can't handle them, for Christ's sakes. I don't understand this.
Yeah.
This is insane, you guys. Sorry. Keep going. Don't worry about me.
How did your sisters get like this? Your parents trained them up?
Yes, because they stole food.
Okay.
But they stole it because they were hungry.
Has anybody ever been to your house before to check on your welfare? Like have any of your other siblings called the cops?
No. Yeah. Some of them have wanted to, but they're too terrified.
Did you call the police?
I didn't have to. This is the first chance I got to tell them that. Or that's probably like less than a month ago. But the next chance I got to call and run away was.
How did you get a phone?
Okay, it's my brother's phone. He couldn't throw away, and it was new. And so I needed a way to call 911, and I asked my sister, would that be okay? And we don't know much. And so,
Why don't you know much?
Obviously,
Why don't you know much?
we don't go around. Our parents never tell us things. When we do stuff with dogs, it took forever for us to out what our parents does to go off. It took forever.
And even the 29-year-old doesn't know this?
Okay, the 29-year-old does. She can go.
The sister, 29-year-old Jennifer Turpin, had in fact tried to escape once when the Turpin family lived in Texas, but without any form of education or identification. She was eventually forced to return home, where she was promptly punished.
Is there a phone number to that phone?
I don't think so.
How did you call 911?
Well, you can call 911.
Oh.
You don't need to call that. Even if it's not connected to 911.
Yep.
You can call 911.
So your parents, you're 17 years old,
Yes.
and throughout your whole life you've never gone to school?
Right. I started first grade 2015 and 2016.
Uh-huh.
But,
How did you start first grade? Oh, in homeschool?
yes.
And you've never gone to school?
Right.
What else do your parents do to you guys?
Oh, my brother, she did.
Why did you decide to leave today?
It was the next chance I got that I could stop.
How did you get a chance to get out?
Well, I was actually terrified. My mother was in the kitchen talking to the older one. She was watching stuff. And I was terrified that she just got real mad. She just like looked at me. That's my little sister. And she's like, and she started saying that she was gonna just do stuff to us. And so I was just so scared, and I just left. I just went up the window. And
So when you left right now, you left out the window?
Yes.
And your mom was awake when she was in the other room?
Yeah.
Does your dad have a gun? Are there any weapons in the house?
Yes. But they don't use it.
How long have your mom and dad been married?
I don't know. They got married.
Jordan is referring to her mother, 49-year-old Louise Turpin. According to both of Louise's sisters, Louise essentially ran away from home with the then 23-year-old David when she was only 16. David was from a highly respected and influential family in their hometown, and it was for this reason that Louise's parents gave their blessing for the two to get officially married.
Yes.
So all kids have the same mom and dad?
Yes.
According to David's parents, the reason Louise had so many children.
That girl right there with that dude with the weird haircut is one of the kids?
No, that's the mom.
Okay, I was gonna say if that's one of the kids, he looks old. And that other dude with the blonde hair, who is that? The older son?
Okay, sorry, what?
The kid with the weird haircut, the blonde hair, that's the son then.
No, that's the picture of the guy and the girl.
Yeah.
The wedding dress and stuff. That's the mom and the dad.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay.
It's okay.
I was missing. It's kind of like cut in and out. So go ahead. It was down to them both being
back in a little bit, Ghost.
Pentecostal faith, though the couple didn't attend a church or even
Gotta go to the store.
at their home.
Does your mom take you to the doctor?
All the time. There was one time we all went to the doctor. If we had one, but no day later, we would have been today. We always
Have the police ever gotten involved with this?
No.
Well, why don't you guys just leave the house?
Because we're terrified. We don't really have a way. Everyone's always looking. There's always somebody.
Well, you said your mom's always gone, right?
Right.
Why don't you just leave?
Either she's in one of the rooms and our house, because you make the beeping noise.
This beeping noise was actually just the low battery sound from the smoke detectors in the Turpin's home. It seems Jordan is under the impression that this was a signal from some sort of security system. At this point, the other officers pull up to the scene and Deputy Kalachi steps out of the car to direct them. It's now 7 a.m. and the sun has started to rise on this cool January morning when they approach the front door and knock loudly for a couple minutes. I believe with all my heart that our parents tried their best to raise all 13 of us, and they wanted to give us a good life. The oldest child, Jennifer, gave a statement that seems much more in line with the other children who gave interviews to the press. I'm in college now and living independently. I love hanging out with my friends, and life is great. I believe everything happens for a reason. Life may have been bad, but it made me strong. I fought to become the person I am. I saw my dad change my mom. They almost changed me, but I realized what was happening. I immediately did what I could to not become like that. I'm a fighter, I'm strong, and I'm shooting through life like a rocket. In April 2019, David and Louise Turpin were both sentenced to 25 years to life in prison, where they remain to this day. As for the Turpin children, once their parents were arrested, they were split into two groups, with the adults being placed in supportive care and the underage children being placed into foster homes. This should have been where their story ended, as the children were now free and should have been safely on the road to recovery. But unfortunately, in 2022, the 6 younger Turpin children filed a lawsuit against both Riverside County and ChildNet, a private foster care agency, alleging that they were knowingly placed in inhumane foster homes. At the time of this video, a resolution to this lawsuit has not been made. The adult Turpin children didn't entirely escape hardship at the hands of the county either. Tons of support flowed in from all over the country after their 2018 rescue, with money from the donations alone totaling $600,000. However, the money was placed in a trust and the children were allegedly unable to obtain funds from the court-appointed guardian of the trust upon request. It wasn't until ABC's 2020 investigated and aired a special on the case that, according to Jordan, people started listening and doing their jobs, and the money was distributed to the Turpin children.
Just wow.
So after everything they went through, they had to go through it again, basically, in foster care too. That's disgusting.
Yep.
So I'm guessing at some point that Louise wasn't like this until this Dumb and Dumber looking idiot with this Dutch boy haircut decided that he was going to be in charge of their entire life and started to transform the mother into the same mindset, I guess, too, and brainwash her from what the one daughter said, I guess.
I'm not sure because
This is insane.
Louise had a rough upbringing. I think
Okay.
I have a video in here from her sister.
Okay.
Um,
I have to
so
step away
they,
for a sec. I'll be right back.
okay. So they went from Virginia to Texas. The Turpin family lived in Fort Worth, Texas until 1999 when they moved to Rio Vista, Texas. In 2007, the Turpin parents moved 10 of their children into an isolated trailer on their property. David and Louise took the two youngest and left the rest of the children to fend for themselves, bringing groceries every week, but not enough to feed everybody. One of their daughters, Jordan Turpin, aged 6 years at the time, stated there was a lot of starving, and she had resorted to eating ketchup or mustard or ice. After the family left the Rio Vista property in 2010, neighbors found feces and beds with ropes tied to them, along with dead cats and piles of garbage. State records showed the children were homeschooled. The private school the kids attended, Sandcastle Day School, had the same address as the family home, and the 6 attendees were all their children. This is the Fort Worth, Fort Worth, Texas house. So this is the first Texas house.
These are both nice, beautiful houses too.
Yeah.
I mean, with all these kids in this house, I mean, if they'd have done things the right way, they could have very easily kept the house clean, given the older kids chores, and everybody partake. And you teach them life lessons instead of keeping them prisoner. And good God,
yeah,
feed your kids. I'm sure there's money,
right?
The guy was an engineer, for Christ's sakes. Look at the house. If they can afford that house, they can afford to feed their children.
Yeah.
I don't understand. I don't understand.
Neither.
And the adult kids, that's the part I don't understand. If you have so many of these kids and it's overwhelming, why not allow the older kids to move out and to start their own lives? Or
Control, I don't know.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah. So this was the pictures from the second house in Rio Vista, Texas. The Rio Vista home was in such terrible condition. The lady that bought it said that the bankers wouldn't let her look at the property unless they signed a harmless clause, which said that if she or her family got sick in the house, the bank was not responsible. That's how bad the second Texas house was.
Wow.
You can see there's whatever all over here.
Yeah.
In the bathtub. And they apparently had tried to clean it some, but just couldn't.
The floor.
Like the bank, I mean.
Yeah, the floor's rotted out. I mean, Jesus.
Yeah. So then they moved to California. So in 2014, the Turpins moved to Perris, California. Neighbors reported that the children were silent unless spoken to, like children whose only defense was to be invisible, would skip rather than walk, and appeared malnourished and pale. One of Louise's sisters later said that David and Louise refused to let her see the children, and another sister said she had been concerned about the children's weight, But Louise's aunt said the family pictures posted on Facebook had made her think that they were one big happy family.
Hey,
The children did not spend all of their time in captivity. Photos emerged of the parents and all 13 children visiting Disneyland in nearby Anaheim. The boys and girls were dressed in matching Disney t-shirts. David and Louise had an affinity for Disney and for the park. The vanity plates on the couple's 2 cars were DS Land and DL Forever. David and Louise had been planning to move the family to Oklahoma at the time of their arrest. Jordan Turpin overheard her parents speaking about the move and decided it was time to call the police.
Yeah, before this started all over again.
Right?
Unbelievable.
Yeah, the one on the bottom right is all the trash that was inside that's outside.
This is the California house, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing that kills me is you look through the garbage and you see McDonald's and Pizza Hut and all this food and tons of like Mountain Dew and stuff, and they just tease the kids with it. Didn't give it to them.
Same with the toys. They
The
put the
toys.
toys out and you can look at it and want it, but you can't have it.
For what reason is what I don't understand. What are you gaining out of this?
I don't know.
It's sick. Thank God.
So then the escape and rescue. By 2018, the Turpin children had been planning to escape their parents' Perris, California residence for more than 2 years. On January 14th, 2018, 2 of the girls left the house through a window. The younger girl, that was 13, became frightened and turned back. But Jordan and 17 got some distance away and called 911 on the deactivated cell phone she had brought with her. She told the dispatcher that she and her siblings were being abused by their parents and that the smell in the house was so bad sometimes she could barely breathe. She stated that 2 of her sisters and 1 of her brothers were currently chained to their beds. When the first police officer arrived, Jordan showed him photos of the conditions inside the house. Deputies of the Riverside County Sheriff's Department raided the house, stating they were there for a welfare check. Louise and David answered the door. The Sheriff's Department said that Louise was perplexed as to why we were at the residence. Inside, they encountered the stench of human excrement, decaying garbage, dead pets, and moldy food, with every surface covered in trash. Later, they found the other 12 children. 1 had been shackled to a bed for weeks, and it appeared that 2 others had been shackled until just before officers arrived. Children were found with bruises on their arms, appearing frail and caked with dirt. The children were so malnourished that deputies thought they were all under 18 years old, when in fact 7 were over 18. The house contained hundreds of journals written by the children about their lives. For years, the parents imprisoned, beat, and strangled their children, allowing them to eat only once a day and bathe only once a year. The older children appeared much younger because of malnourishment. The 29-year-old Jennifer weighed just 82 pounds. The 12-year-old child had an arm circumference equivalent to a 4-month-old baby. Some appeared to lack basic knowledge of the world and had a limited vocabulary. For example, being unfamiliar with what medication was, in the case of Jordan, or who police were. The case is considered extraordinary for numerous reasons, including that abuse was inflicted on multiple children, as well as dependent adults, but both parents and the calculated and systemic nature of the abuse and torture. Yeah, it's ghosts. My husband left to go to Menards, and so he thinks he's dying because Daddy left him. So sorry about that.
Was a stunning story of survival that made headlines around the world. 13 children kept prisoners by their parents in a Paris home, at times chained up and in filth. Tonight's newly released video gives us a closer look at the moments they became free and what law enforcement found inside the House of Horrors.
I hope it's not her.
No, turn around and check you out.
This is all happening after deputies realized there is evidence of abuse.
Yeah. There's
This video shows the moment when they found the chains inside the closet of the kid's bedroom. At one point, they even find one of the Turpin boys in chains in bed. This video is part of the evidence. You can see David Turpin wave to the camera. Then there's images like this that show the home littered with trash, and in some cases, unopened toys. And take a look at their clothes. Horrifying images of abuse. It was enough to take the parents into custody. It's awful to see all those images. Well, the parents pled guilty to 14 counts, including torture and child cruelty. They've been sentenced to 25 years in prison.
And there's those pictures again. See how tiny her arms are. And the bruises here. Poor babies. I just don't understand people.
I don't have any words.
I know.
I have no words.
Yeah.
If you don't want children, stop having them. There's everybody knows what causes it. Stop
Right?
doing it. Good God.
Yep. I think this next one's a video of a walkthrough of the house.
Sounds good.
They tried Sherry. They kept them completely isolated from all of the family. Let's see. So some quotes I found in newspapers. David Turpin's parents, James and Betty Turpin of West Virginia, told ABC News they are surprised and shocked by the allegations against their son and daughter-in-law. James and Betty Turpin said they hadn't seen their son and daughter-in-law since visiting them in California 4 to 5 years ago, but they have kept in touch with them by phone since then, they said. They said they had not spoken to their grandchildren, saying David Turpin or his wife would often call when they were without the children. The distraught grandparents added that David and Louise Turpin are considered a good Christian family in their community, saying they can't understand any of this. God called on them to have as many children as they did, James and Betty Turpin said of their son and daughter-in-law. The arrested couple's parents also said the children were given very strict homeschooling and that the children would memorize long passages of the Bible. Some of the kids' goal was to memorize it in its entirety, the couple said. The most recent time the grandparents visited, they noticed the children looked thin, they said, but they seemed like a happy family. And some of the neighbors said they were shocked to learn the family had as many children in the house as they did, saying they had only recently seen any children outside at all, and one adding it was almost as if they'd never seen the sun. Everybody was super skinny, not athletic skinny, but malnourished skinny. Neighbor Josh Tiedemann told ABC News. Neighbor Wendy Martinez said the allegedly neglected Turpin family members appeared to be younger than their actual ages. They're saying they are older, but to me, they looked younger, she said. You look in the driveway, there's 4 new cars, she said. I've seen cars leave that house. Why didn't anyone ask for help? Martinez also once noticed children installing grass in the yard around 9 p.m. once. As we went to the sidewalk, we noticed 4 children on their knees rolling outside. She said, I said, hi, no reaction, nothing. Neighbor Julie Ola also said she once saw children who looked to be around 10 years old planting grass around 11 p.m. I think this is from one of the neighbors.
Rarely left the home.
I called it the compound because they were so closed off from society.
David, the Turpin parents are scheduled to be arraigned in this courthouse tomorrow. Then, as Child Protective Services continues to evaluate those 13 siblings. And to give you a sense of how malnourished the elder 7 adults were, all of them require new clothing, like in children's sizes.
Children's sizes. Almost 30 years old, and they need children's size clothes. Okay, aftermath. All the children spent 2 months in the hospital, after which the 6 minors were placed in 2 foster homes. Physicians treated various issues, including heart damage due to lack of nutrients, cognitive impairments, and neuropathy. In October 2019, 5 of the younger children were adopted by an abusive family. Allegations including hitting them in the face with sandals, pulling their hair, hitting them with a belt, and striking their heads. They were forced to eat excessively and then forced to eat their own vomit. And the foster father was accused of grabbing and fondling them and kissing them on the mouth. The foster family was arrested and charged with abusing multiple children in their care. In early 2020, the Riverside County Deputy District Attorney reported that the children were living independently, working and going to school, and that one had graduated from college. An investigation for the ABC News Magazine 2020 chronicled the case for the November 2021 special escape from a house of horror. The investigation reported that some of the Turpin children were neglected by Riverside County Social Services. Some are homeless, and none are authorized to use the hundreds of thousands of dollars donated to them. The money was placed in a trust controlled by a court-appointed public guardian, Vanessa Espinoza. Joshua Turpin stated that he could not access the funds and was denied the purchase of a bicycle. During an interview with the 2020 special, Jordan Turpin stated that she was released without warning from a foster home with no life skills, no plans for housing, or no knowledge of how to obtain food and health care. According to the report, Riverside County has hired a private law firm to investigate allegations of abuse by social services. In July 2022, the Turpin siblings filed lawsuits in California's Riverside County Superior Court against the foster care agency that placed them in a home where they were allegedly subjected to further abuse and neglect. 2 nearly identical lawsuits were filed, with one representing the 2 older siblings and the other representing the 4 younger siblings. Riverside County Foster Family Network and Child Network Youth and Family Services were named as defendants in the lawsuit. The Riverside County Sheriff's Department had already been investigating the foster home, which included 9 alleged victims since early 2021. On September 19th, 2024, 3 of the foster parents pleaded guilty to the charges of abuse. Marcelino Ogwin to 3 counts of lewd and lascivious acts on a child under 14, 1 count of child endangerment, and 1 count of false imprisonment. Ogwin's wife, Rosa, and daughter, Lenny's, to child endangerment and false imprisonment. On October 18th, Marcelino was sentenced to 7 years in state prison, and Rosa and Lenny's were sentenced to 4 years of probation.
Unbelievable. These kids were failed by everything and everyone.
Yeah. This goes into more detail, and I'm going to give you guys trigger warning as well, out loud, of the abuse from the Ogwins. So just be prepared. One of the male Turpin children was singled out for extra abuse and was repeatedly imprisoned in his bedroom, cussed at, demeaned, and separated from his sisters. The Ogwins also intentionally ruined his media devices. All 5 were also threatened with never seeing their older siblings again if they didn't comply with the Ogwins' wishes. The Ogwins had a total of 9 foster children. They allegedly gave a 5-year-old girl, who is not one of the Turpins, sleeping pills, then forced her to stand, ringing a bell in her ear and spraying water in her face so she could not fall asleep. This was all while repeating the revenge phrase, "You don't let us sleep, we're not letting you sleep." Investigator Salisbury wrote, "The little girl collapsed and fell on the hard tile floor," he added. But for the younger siblings, the nightmare started all over again just months after they were freed, when they were placed with the Ogwins in April of 2018, when they lived in a 5-bedroom home just 9 miles from the Perris home the children had shared with their parents. Salisbury and Lenny's Ogwin scratched the top of one girl's hand, and when she was holding a metal coin, moved her hand close to an electrical outlet, saying, "You want to get shocked?" The Ogwins also encouraged 2 of their foster children to fight each other, the court papers allege, calling one a filthy a-hole and mother effer, while another was told she would end up as a white piece of shite on the curb, like her biological mother. They also They are also accused of physically abusing those same 2 children. Rosa is said to have dragged one of them by their hair, which resulted in her hair being pulled out. A neighbor who asked not to be mentioned told DailyMail.com that Marcelino and Rosa were often seen with their foster children until March 2021, when cops arrived at the home and arrested them. The Ogwins sold their home for $500,000 the following month and moved into the property next door, where they have lived since being released on bond. All 3 are set to be arraigned next Monday, when Marcelo facing a life sentence if he is found guilty. Joshua Turpin, 29, said he had been denied funds to purchase a bike and had been told to Google it by his public guardian when he needed help. Meanwhile, Jordan Turpin, 21, said in an interview with ABC she was completely unprepared for independent life when she was summarily turfed out of a foster home when she turned 18. Exactly, SRB. They're never going to be able to trust another adult. Never. And according to court papers, the family fostered 4 other children as well as the Turpins. One, a 5-year-old girl, was regularly left in soiled clothing and forced to stand for hours on end. Charging documents say the 9 children remained with the Ogwins until their arrest in March 2021. DailyMail.com revealed exclusively on Thursday that Ogwin allegedly touched 2 of the Turpin girls, one of whom was under 14 at the time, on their buttocks and upper thighs more than 50 times. This part's hard. He told them they were sexy, recommended they not wear undershirts, said they had beautiful skin, forcibly kissed them, and pulled a minor on top of him, investigator Thomas Salisbury wrote. So back to the parents. The Turpins were charged with 12 counts of torture, 12 counts of false imprisonment, 7 counts of abuse of a dependent adult, and 6 counts of child abuse. David received an additional charge of a lewd act on a child under 14. They were held instead of bail being posted, which media reported was set at $9 million for Louise Turpin and $12 million for David Turpin. David was eventually charged with perjury about affidavits he filed with the California Department of Education over the years, in which he asserted that his children were being educated in a private school. Louise's attorney requested Louise be placed in a pretrial diversion program for mental health treatment due to a diagnosis of histrionic personality disorder. The judge denied the request on the grounds that Turpin posed a risk to the public. On February 22, 2019, David and Louise each changed their not guilty pleas to guilty to 1 count of torture, 3 counts of willful child abuse, 4 counts of false imprisonment, and 6 counts of cruelty to an adult dependent. Both were sentenced to life imprisonment with the possibility of parole after 25 years. Experts believe they will never receive parole due to the severity of the crime. David was originally sent to the Mule Creek State Prison before being sent to the California State Prison, Corcoran, and Louise is in the Central California Women's Facility. And that is everything I had. I mean, I have some other notes, but wow. I don't know how they got a deal. I don't know why they got a deal. They should not have gotten a deal.
No deal.
Yeah, they shouldn't have. They would, if they washed their hands above their wrist, they were accused of playing in the water and were chained up. Yeah.
Jesus. Pure insanity.
Yep.
I don't understand. If you didn't want them, why did you have 13 kids?
Yeah, I thought
Stop.
I put the clip from the sister in here. Maybe I didn't. According to her sister, Louise and her sister, when they were younger, I believe their mom would basically traffic them to this guy.
Wow. Okay.
So that's part of Louise's issues.
They have a bit of an addiction due to being exposed to that life early on, maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe that's what she felt was what got her positive attention.
Yeah.
Jesus. And that guy sounds like the husband, father, sounds like he took full advantage of her situation and used that against her to control her, per se. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Unreal.
Let's see if I could find that video real quick.
It gave them power. People like that don't want kids. They want the yeah. That's a good point, Leisha. Very good point. Very good point. There may not be anything.
Where the family once lived. Here's ABC senior national correspondent Matt Gutman tonight.
Tonight, a glimpse into the alleged fortress of cruelty police say David and Louise Turpin built around their family. The Turpins were led away in handcuffs on Sunday, and Elizabeth Flores says she hasn't seen her sister in 20 years, but says she knew something was off even back then.
I remember they were really strict on the oldest daughter. She stayed there. She was bounced her room a lot, and they would let her come down and eat meals. And it was kind of like almost like a ritual or something weird. It used to bother me because before she sat down, she had to get permission.
These photos, obtained exclusively by DailyMail.com, show clutter and children's toys stacked up in the home. Current and former neighbors say the Turpins left a trail of red flags.
I'd come home at anywhere from 12:30 to 3 in the morning. There's the kids marching between those two rooms up there.
And how long would they march back and forth for in single file?
Hours.
Hours.
Yeah, they're
Marching back and forth between two rooms for hours in the middle.
Yeah. Single file, military.
The dude, I don't even know what to say. I don't have any words to pull for this. I just don't. Other than that, I would love to be locked in a room with him for about 10 minutes.
Right?
That's the only thing I can think of to say, and that's not the right answer. I don't understand it. I don't understand it.
Let's see.
I gotta wonder if the mother had fear of him as well, or if she was just as insane as him.
I think being that she was so much younger, that's a good possibility.
What was their age difference again?
At least 10 years.
Yeah.
He was 23 and she was 16. So 13 years.
Uh-huh.
So
her parents obviously didn't help in this situation.
Yeah, no.
I don't understand. Now, I heard what Louise's sister said, but at some point, if I don't see my sister for 20 years, we're going to have a problem.
Yeah.
Okay? We're going to have a problem, and I'm going to make some kind of an issue out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I don't remember which one this is.
The number to the jail. And when they first told me what happened, she said, can you let all the family know because it's hitting national news? The story was they chained and beat and starved their children. One of my nieces got out the window, the bedroom window, after Louise and David went to sleep. And
oh my God, come on. I know. How did you do that? Okay, we'll go sit down for a minute then.
And he said that Louise and David were in shock because they were asleep when they got there. They had no idea this 911 call even took place. They were
Can you guys hear it now? Sorry.
And when they first told me what happened, she said, can you let all the family know because it's hitting national news? The story was they chained and beat and starved their children. One of my nieces got out, climbed out the window, bedroom window, after Louise and David went to sleep, and ran down the road with an unactivated cell phone that was in the home and called 911 on it. She didn't even know how to explain where she was. She didn't even know her own address. The police was able to track her and find her, and then she rode back with the police to the house in the car. The deputy that went to the house spoke with me, and he said that Louise and David were in shock because they were asleep when they got there. They had no idea this 911 call even took place. They were trying to hurry up and get them unchained, but they didn't succeed before the officers got into the home. It's really hard to think that those babies that I held and rocked so many times to sleep, fed bottles, were treated like animals. This is David's mugshot. I remember thinking he looks like a serial killer or something. My mom used to say, oh, he's a Turpin boy. She couldn't get a better guy than a Turpin boy. But that's not what my sister. That's what it looked like when I saw her on TV, and it made me sick and I busted in tears. To me, she looks evil here. I remember asking my husband, how is she smiling? She looks crazy. I thought, is this really possible? There's no way that Louise could have done that. There's no way. They've blown this way out of proportion. I remember wanting to go to the house to try to convince myself that this is real. Then I walked around the house and looked in the windows. And when I looked in the windows, my breath was taken because I saw things. I thought, oh my gosh, Louise is pure evil. It was very, very nasty. And I knew immediately that my sister did a horrendous crime. I needed to see her for myself. I needed to look her in the eyes. And I needed to ask her, what were you thinking? What happened? What went wrong?
Yeah, there's just no words.
There's not. There really isn't. I mean, we've seen stories like this, but not like this. To understand, there's something dark in both of them, in my opinion.
One victim at one point.
Yeah, definitely.
That mugshot, her sister's right. She kind of has a smirk on her face. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, she definitely has a smirk on her face. Like,
right. It's like, what are you doing? Well, hopefully she got to shave her mustache in jail. I don't know.
I doubt it.
You know, one of the kids signed up with one of the top rated modeling agencies.
I did read something about that. Like I said, there was so much. I just kind of had to.
Yeah, Jordan, the one that called the police.
Mm-hmm.
She's in Elle magazine now, and she's absolutely beautiful. As they all are, I'm sure. But that's amazing to me that she's able to overcome all that and now do that. You know what I mean?
Right.
I just hope that nobody's taking advantage of her in that situation.
Yeah, there's still some of them that are struggling because of the trust.
Well, I'm sure they're all, even the ones that maybe seem to be doing better are probably still suffering because of that stuff.
Yeah, well, and also with the bank trust,
Sure,
not giving them. And I think
I wonder how much of that went into the pocket of the person that was in charge of that.
Well, yeah, I think it's still. Oops.
Like there's something backstage for you to throw up if you want to, whenever you're ready.
Okay. All right, guys, I'm going to say bye while we got a chance. Thank you for being here. I appreciate every single one of you for being here. Please make sure you hit the like button and all that good stuff.
And we will fix the stream meanwhile. Mama Bear will handle it and cut it up and make it work. So thank you guys so much for supporting her channel.
16, Tomboy.
Appreciate you guys very much for this. I saw it, SRB. Thank you. So I very much appreciate you guys, and you did amazing, Mom Bear. Thank you for bringing that.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Sorry for all the technical issues, folks.
Yeah, right.
We'll figure it out. I didn't even get to stream mine. So
all right, it might be getting ready to cut us again. So
all right, guys, we will see you very soon.
See you later. Bye.